Great. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. Hopefully a few more people will join us in the next few minutes. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. A warm welcome on behalf of the Boost team to the final session of a three-part series on JSI's Reaching Every District Using Quality Improvement Tools initiative, better known as REDQI. Our colleagues at JSI will be leading today's session on improving foundational skills to build a more resilient immunization system. But first, I want to go over just a few housekeeping slides before we get started. Next slide. So for those who are joining us for the first time, the Boost community is a diverse network of more than 1,500 immunization professionals from over 125 countries. Through our online platform, boostcommunity.org, we offer opportunities for our community to connect with peers, strengthen leadership and advocacy skills, and grow in their careers. So we've been using a learning group on the platform to connect with session facilitators and peers. So I do encourage you to sign up when you get a chance. We also have some orientation materials available online, but if you have any questions, you can always contact us at info@boostcommunity.org. Next slide. So we're using a Zoom meeting format today. So we ask that you remain muted to minimize any background noise. You can always raise your hand during the presentation to speak, or use the chat box to submit questions, make a comment, or respond to other participants. So I see some folks have already started introducing yourselves in the chat. Feel free to do so now. If you can just tell us your name and where you're joining us from, that would be great. Next slide. So through this series, we've been examining how the REDQI approach can help achieve equity and reduce the number of unvaccinated children through building capacity for problem solving within the system for sustainable improvements. In case you've missed any of the previous sessions so far, we'll be storing all the session recordings and slides in the resource library of the Boost Learning Group. So be sure to bookmark this page. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and introduce our JSI colleagues who will be leading today's session. So first we have Tedros, who's a senior immunization program advisor with JSI, supporting the universal immunization through improving family health services project. He brings 17 years of experience to his work, managing teams focused on implementing equity-centered approaches to improve immunization in Ethiopia. We also are joined by Adriana, who's an immunization technical officer with JSI, where she supports immunization projects, including the UI-FHS project. She brings over 7 years of experience to support the improvement of EPI programs in East Africa. So with that, I think I'm going to head it over to Teddy.
Thanks. Actually, I'm going to just take a few minutes to talk, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague, Teddy. Hi, so hi, everyone. Thanks again to the Boost community for hosting us, and thanks to all of our participants today for taking time out of your day to join us for this session. So just quickly, before we get into really what we're talking about today with around foundational skills, just to give a little bit of a quick recap of the previous two series webinars. REDQI is an innovation that uses concepts and tools from the field of quality improvement in order to strengthen the quality of management of immunization services. JSI developed and used REDQI at scale in Ethiopia and Uganda to help staff at various levels of the health system operationalize all 5 components of the RED approach. Next slide. And so as we've mentioned before, the RED strategy really tells us what we should be doing to improve immunization. And by adding QI tools, we've helped health workers and managers figure out how they can do this. This has really meant building skills in how to analyze problems, prioritize problems, and find local solutions. Next slide. So we've been implementing REDQI in Ethiopia and Uganda over the past decade. But we feel that it's an approach that can really be relevant to addressing both current and future challenges in immunization. COVID-19 has really exposed weak points in health systems across the globe. And we know that crises like this or natural disasters, other epidemics, political unrest, all of these types of crises will come again, and they will continue to place further stress on our health systems. As we've all witnessed over the past year, there's really a clear need to strengthen routine immunization systems so that they can function more effectively and continue to deliver services during and after a crisis. And so to this end, REDQI really focused on improving key foundational skills, such as problem solving, planning, and management abilities. And these are skills that are important to really helping health systems adapt and manage those complex problems with increased resiliency. Next slide. Yeah, so prior to the webinar today, we posted a couple of questions to the REDQI learning group on Boost, asking what your biggest challenges were in microplanning, and if you've heard of or used the Fishbone tool, which we'll be going over later today. We got a couple of great responses, so I just kind of wanted to quickly touch on a couple and call them out. So we have Martha that wrote that she has used the Fishbone tool when trying to analyze root causes of why she was seeing poor data quality. And this is, as you know, a common challenge that we face in many places. And she noted that it's a powerful tool for analyzing problems where you keep asking why something is happening until you get to the root cause. So that's a fantastic experience, Martha. I think next time we do a webinar, we can recruit you to give our orientation on the Fishbone, because that's exactly right. And we'll see how that works in a bit in more detail. But the key is asking why multiple times to get to the root cause. And then Hilarious also wrote in about his biggest challenge in microplanning, which is about mobilizing resources. And he said that not every stakeholder may be aware of what funding exists for whom. And he noted that effective collaboration and engagement with health and non-health stakeholders is important in this process. And I think I completely agree. That's absolutely right. And my colleague Tuodros will be sharing details today on who and how we engage stakeholders in microplanning and really use the microplan as an advocacy tool for resource mobilization. So thanks again if you contributed to the REDQI learning group, and there'll be more opportunities in the future as well. And with that, I think I will pass it over to my colleague Tuodros.
Thank you, Adriana. This is the presentation that I am going to present. Not the same old micro-planning. Why bottom-up micro-planning is more relevant than ever. The focus of my presentation is to share the foundational skills on bottom-up micro-planning and how it is important to today's context than ever. Next slide, please. This slide presents the steps of developing bottom-up micro-planning. The process of bottom-up micro-planning starts with training or orientation to the participant to familiarize the participants on micro-planning tools and approaches. Usually the training is one-time event. And on the training, the participants start working on the microplan and may not complete all the sections of the microplan template. The participants will go back to their community and health facility to update the catchment population. Whenever possible, they include head counting, and usually head counting is done by community health workers. Then, using the additional information on the catchment population and its characteristics like hard to reach areas, the microplan is considered as completed. It will be completed. Then the next step is utilization of the microplan for actual session conducted plus use of the microplan for resource mobilization locally. One point to notice is reinforcement of the microplan use during supportive supervision and review meetings. Sometimes the microplan might be done, but its facilities may miss to use it regularly for planning immunization sessions. So in our experience, we reinforce the use of the microplan during supportive supervision and review meeting, which was helpful for utilization of the microplan. The microplan is an ongoing process, as there is a regular updating of the microplan based on the progress of implementation of immunization. So it is a cyclical approach, ongoing, and in our experience updating of the microplan, we do it monthly for health facilities and quarterly for district health offices. Next slide, please.
Great. So if everyone could just take a few seconds here to fill out the quiz on who should be involved in bottom-up microplanning preparation. You can click multiple choices here.
Wow. So we have pretty consistent results here. So everyone felt that health workers from the lowest level of the health system should be engaged 100% there. And then people also thought that health managers and EPI officers from district and health centers should also be engaged. And then there about 2/3 of people thought members of the community, clan or tribal leaders, and civil administration should be engaged. And we really advocate for all of these people to be engaged in the microplanning process. They all have different areas for contribution. And so we'll talk about that further as we go through the presentation. Thanks, everyone.
Engaging communities in microplanning to identify, target, and reach all children. Members of the community, such as clan leaders, community leaders, and so on, should be engaged in preparation of bottom-up microplanning. In our experience, we included the members of the community together with the health workers during training of microplan. The community members support catchment area mapping through identification of hard to reach areas, migrants, and nomadic population. The exercise also includes mapping out of travel routes if the communities are pastoralist or nomadic. The presence of civil administrations during preparation of microplan facilitates local resource mobilization. Civil administration like district administrator, district finance officer, those people are also parts of the microplan preparation. The community engagement during microplan preparation is a key step to identify, target, and reach all eligible children in the catchment area. Next slide, please. On this slide, as you can see from the graph on the right side, facilities and districts, or waradas, in our case, warada and districts are almost the same status. So as can be seen from the slide, district health office saw vast improvement in availability of complete microplan. Just for example, only 8% of the health centers had microplan at the baseline, which improved to over 93% after having 3 or more supportive supervision. Microplan can serve as a gateway to increase availability of services, as the facilities both identify missed communities and plan how to reach them with regular service. So this enabled the health system to identify zero-dose and under-immunized children. The bottom-up microplanning helped us to identify where the zero-dose children are and the under-immunized children. Microplan also contributes to deliver equitable service to the community. The microplan provides context-appropriate strategies to reach the community. like, does that specific community needs to be reached with mobile outreach or static session? Using example from Ethiopia in the context of the JSI's project implementation, in the context that we are implementing, a static can effectively reach less than 50% of eligible population. That makes the service inequitable if provided without bottom-up microplanning. The table on the right side shows that about 15 to 20% of surviving infants are targeted to be reached with outreach. Outreach can cover around 15 to 20%, while the other 40 to 50% of the eligible children are planned to be reached with mobile strategy. In this area where the population are remote, scattered, and nomadic, outreach and mobile service are often the only way to reach the eligible children. So microplan enabled us to plan service equitably using the right strategy. Next slide. This is another role of microplan. Microplan can also be used as a tool for expanding service and mobilize a resource locally. District health staff used their microplan to advocate effectively with civil administration, who is responsible. The civil administration in our context, they are responsible for local budgeting, allocation of budget for health sector, education sector, agriculture sector. So the civil administrators are the ones that are allocating resource in our context. And our project built the capacity of the district health staff to use their microplan to use it as an advocacy tool with the stakeholders, so that resource can be allocated for immunization. That allowed the district and health facilities to expand outreach immunization services to reach and vaccinate more children. This slide shows few examples of how microplan was used to expand service, as well as how the microplan was used as an advocacy tool for mobilization of resource. In Itang district, for example, the district administration allowed funding for additional 156 outreach immunization sessions for 1 year at 13 different outreach sites, using the microplan, because the district health office were able to use the microplan as evidence for the need for additional resource plus additional sites. Another example was from southern part of Ethiopia. The previous was from western part of Ethiopia. From the southern part of Ethiopia, in a district called Sodo Zuria, additional 396 outreach sessions were conducted with the resource mobilized from local administration. 276 of these additional sites were in hard to reach areas. So this slide shows the role of microplan in expanding service as well as use of it for advocacy. Next slide. Let us take a couple of minutes to share your experience on utilization of microplan in your context. What are some of the strategies you use to mobilize resources to implement your microplan? You can write your experience in the chat box.
So yes, go ahead and just start to comment in the chat box if you guys have any ideas, contributions. We want to hear from you. So Dr. Amare is saying to integrate with other health services. So as he's been describing, we've had some experience of doing integrated microplanning with nutrition in Ethiopia. So that's another opportunity to mobilize resources. See if it makes sense to do integrated planning, to see if you can pool resources across technical interventions. We're seeing, so lots of chats come in here now, which is great. So we're seeing enlisting all from Rajat from is enlisting all villages, mohallas, wards, nomadic populations, etc. for it to support. Umar is saying community and health facility and local government teams have the responsibility. Daniel is mentioning that it's important to do advocacy and community engagement. There may be opportunities to utilize special programs for Maternal and Child Health Week to help with this process. So lots of discussion about engaging the community who know and can mobilize their communities. Great, thanks everyone.
These slides summarize the pro or the tips to consider for bottom-up microplanning. What are the practical things to be considered during bottom-up microplanning? One is have health facilities begin microplan during training. During training, the microplan will be started. Then let them go back to their health facility to get community input on session planning and finalize the microplan. So the point on this one is microplan will not be finished on the training or on the orientation session. It needs some time to complete it. They will go back to their community and they will come up with for the finalization of the microplan. The other point is get community input on catchment mapping, location where the outreach or the mobile should be conducted, timing, like is it on Monday, Tuesday, market days, those type of consideration in the community, frequency, how many times per week, per month, and so on. And head count, updating the population if head count data is available. How many children are there in each of the household? That type of data, if it's available, that's also good input from the community. Then another key point to be considered for bottom-up microplanning is invitation of key health stakeholders to be part of the microplan training, especially for budget discussion and session planning. This is one of the important points. Non-health stakeholders are like district administrators. Use of Fishbone or other tools to do root cause analysis during microplanning process. We are going to see it in the next few minutes. Then the other is microplan is not static. Regularly monitor and update microplan is needed. Next slide. So if this is the case for microplanning, is microplanning still relevant for immunization programming in today's context? Yes, microplan will directly contribute to the achievement of goals and objectives stated on Immunization Agenda 2030 and Gavi 5.0, as it helps us to identifying and reaching zero dose and under-immunized children, reducing inequality, and it also contributes to local resource mobilization for sustainability of RI service. Without microplan, some of the targets of Gavi 5.0 or Immunization Agenda 2030 may not be realized. The experience, tools, and approaches of developing microplan for routine immunization were customized for identifying and vaccinating the targets of COVID-19 vaccine in Ethiopia. So still, the tools, the experience we got from other immunization service was applied for COVID-19, which makes bottom-up microplanning relevant for today's context. Next slide, please. These are the 7 strategic priorities of Immunization Agenda 2030. Click. So microplan directly contributes to coverage and equity strategic priority of Immunization Agenda 2030. Click next. As you see, yes, coverage and equity is directly contributes to IA 2030, and indirectly it contributes almost to all of the Immunization Agenda 2030. Like for example, the microplan. In our experience in JSI in Ethiopia, we demonstrated the applicability of microplan of routine immunization for integration of nutrition service planning and delivery. That was one of example. Another example was forecasting of supply for immunization program can get realistic data for forecasting of immunization and other supplies needed when bottom-up microplanning is done in all target areas. So this shows still microplan is relevant for addressing immunization agenda 2030. Next slide, please. This is for the Gavi 5.0 strategies, and bottom-up microplanning contributes to 3 out of the 4 goals of Gavi 5.0. For introduction and scaling up, click next. The equity goal and for sustainability goal, it contributes for 3 out of the 4 can be contributed by bottom-up microplanning. So finally, all this demonstrates the key role of microplanning in today's context of immunization. Bottom-up microplanning is more relevant today than ever to effectively reach all eligible population with immunization. I think this is my final slide. My colleague Adriana will share the experience related with Fishbone. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Tewodros. So I'm going to take us through the flexible fishbone, which we see as a tool to help you solve almost all of your problems. So next slide. So what is the fishbone diagram? The fishbone diagram or fishbone analysis is basically a tool to visually diagram a problem's root causes. Doing root cause analysis on a regular basis was really critical to the REDQI process. And we found through several qualitative studies that we've conducted over time that this tool has been really well appreciated and really well taken up by health workers at multiple levels. So from health facility level and all the way up. Next slide. So the fishbone diagram can be really helpful when you have complex problems where there might be multiple causes or there may be different perspectives from different people. And it's really best used by groups that are diverse. You really can't do fishbone effectively by yourself. And by the time you've done a fishbone analysis, you should be able to identify reasons for the problem or the root causes, as we call them. And you may be able to identify solutions as well. Next slide. So how do we do this? So staff at district and health facility levels have used the fishbone diagram to find root causes of immunization problems. So the way that this works is first you gather the group. Like it mentioned, it should be a range of stakeholders. This is, health workers at the health facility, community leaders or community members, as well as managers. The community leaders or members, they can bring perspective of those affected by the problem, or they may be able to bring influence or resources that can help you tackle or solve that problem. And then managers, they may have insight into the problem or a role to play in solving that problem, or they may have the facilitation skills to help kind of move the process along. So once you have kind of gathered your group, you're going to do the fishbone analysis itself, and we'll practice how to do that in just a minute. Next, you determine the root cause of the problem. Fourth, as a group, you'll want to identify and implement one or more solutions to be able to address the root cause. And those stakeholders should also be part of that solution making. And then, step 5 and beyond, Fishbone is really part of a broader problem solving process to improve quality. So you would want to monitor the progress, reassess as needed where you're at, and then ultimately make those successful solutions permanent. With REDQI, Fishbone is really first done during that initial microplanning process. And then individual health facilities and district offices continue to use this in a team setting, and they continue to tackle different problems that come up. Next slide. Okay, great. So how do we do Fishbone? So the first step is to draft a clear problem statement on which everyone agrees. And you can write that at the head of the fish. Next. Great. So next, you're going to brainstorm the major categories that might be part of the problem. These are kind of what we call the ribs of the fishbone, and you may have different kinds of categories. They might be something like community or health facility, policy, geography, things like that. Major categories. Next. Great. So next, you're going to brainstorm all the contributing factors. So you want to list the possible causes under each category. And you ask the group, why is this happening? And you write that down. So for example, here they have under health facility, poor linkage with community. And then you ask, well, why is that happening? So why is there poor linkage with the community, right? And then you write that reason down. So you push kind of deeper and deeper to finally get to the real root cause of why a problem is happening. So by continuing to ask why with your stakeholders, you'll begin to really uncover the root cause. Okay, and so next slide. So I think so I guess before we start, I'll just say we have a job aid that we'll tell you about in a little bit that kind of goes into more detail, but that's the kind of the overall process of how you would do a fishbone analysis. And we're just going to try this out.
Please from a summit around. Okay.
So we're going to try this out in an interactive exercise. So we have a situation here. While reviewing data in DHIS2, District X has noted that their Penta-1 monthly coverage has been dropping over the past 4 months. So you can see here in this district, they had 85% in January, it dropped 71 in February, March 66, April 64. So it's been dropping quite dramatically. And the district EPI officer believes that poor Penta-1 performance may be due to disruptions from COVID-19 because, he has noticed that COVID-19 cases have been rising in the area since the beginning of the year, so at the same time period. Okay, so that is our situation. Next, we'd like to take a couple of minutes and just have everyone brainstorm all the possible causes that you think could be some reasons for this drop in Penta-1 in District X. And you can go ahead and write your responses in the chat box. And we have a couple of suggested categories here as well. We have health facility, community, and processes and procedures. So go ahead, and this is just a free space, any kind of free brainstorming of possible reasons that you think that Penta-1 could be dropping in this district. And we'll go ahead and take 2 minutes for that.
Hi, so results are coming into the chat box. So we're seeing health facility level, there could be disruptions in services due to COVID-19. This could be due to poor data quality. Any other thoughts? Yep. So we're seeing some more answers come in. Great. So Daniel says at health facility level, this could be due to attitude issues of the health workers. Certainly that could be one, and possibly health workers being fearful of contracted COVID themselves or other issues. Zeno Adam said resources could be diverted to COVID-19, taking resources away from routine immunization. Our colleague Teddy Tuadros said fear of infection of COVID. Suspicion of the health system. They may think that they will give them. They may think that they will give them the COVID vaccine. That's really interesting to hear. There's certainly increases hesitancy, increased or linked to COVID-related rumors. Poor mobilization. AEFI as well. So lots of reasons here that people are coming up with that could be the reasons for reducing Penta 1 coverage. So thanks, we'll stop there. I'll hand it back to Adriana, but keep them coming. Lots of different great ideas here.
Great. So let's take a look at the next slide. So we don't have time to fill out a full fishbone today, but we wanted to give an example of what one answer, one completed fishbone might look like. This is just an example. And it probably needs to get deeper to go to the root cause and, keep asking why. But a lot of the things that have shown up in the chat are popping up here as well. So as you start to fill out the fishbone, you may start to see, the same reason kind of crop up in different places. So for example, under community, you can see that fear comes up a couple of times in different places. I think it was also mentioned in the chat. So that might be something to kind of dig into and see how you might be able to address that with, information and community engagement, etc. And then you may also find by the end of the fishbone exercise that there may be, several root causes to a problem, right? Especially if it's a big, complex problem. So you can eventually develop an action plan that addresses all of the root cause. There may not necessarily be just one answer. So this is just an example that we wanted to share. And, once District X is able to go deeper and get to those root causes, then the next step is really identifying, what is in that district's control to be able to change or to act upon. There may be things that are totally in their control. There may be things that are partially in their control, or there may be things that are outside of their realm. And so that District X should really start with addressing things that are totally in their control to change and ability to change at their level of the health system. And then as needed, calling upon, the next level up for support for some of those things that may be partially in their control, for example. So this is really about, digging deeper, finding those root causes, and then seeing, what can I, in my position, really change? And then let's act on those things that I am able to change. Great job. Thank you for all of your ideas. This is great. And I think it really helps demonstrate that, you can really do this at multiple levels, looking at different problems. And again, the power of this is in doing this in a diverse group. So having that participation from people from all parts of the community that are actually affected by or experiencing this problem is so important. So with that, I think next slide, I think I will pass it over to my colleague, Lisa, to help close us out.
Hi, thanks, Adriana. So next slide, please. So thank you to both Tuadros and Adriana for the walkthrough of these tools. For those of you on the call, if you're interested in further information on either of these tools, or you want additional resources to help you introduce these tools into your work, we've developed 2 job aids to help with this, particularly to guide your work at service delivery level. So the document on the left is a job aid which outlines how to use the Fishbone tool. And we've introduced this and are using it in health facilities in Ethiopia currently. And the document on the right provides step-by-step guidance on how to update your microplan on a quarterly basis. And it's also used in Ethiopia. Particularly with the microplanning tool, what we found is that our health workers need continued assistance to update their microplan. And this guide is really a step-by-step guide to help that process. And so we encourage you to take a look at both of these tools, use them in your work, and then we'd love to hear your feedback if you do use these tools. So they'll be available, they're here online, and then also through the REDQI learning group. Next slide. So our goal with the session today is really to inspire further use of these tools in your daily lives. And this is a reminder that these processes and the overall REDQI approach can be implemented at various levels of the health system to aid in problem solving for service delivery or for management level issues. We challenge you to seek out what is in your power to implement or change at whatever level you're working. Oh. These tools can be used by health workers to improve service delivery or to improve the quality of management at the supervisory level. Awesome. If you are a supervisor, it's really important to remember that you need to provide your staff with the support they need to be autonomous decision makers. Give them the space and the support to make decisions that affect their daily service provision. We find that health workers are sometimes reluctant to use their own data and to make decisions for fear of having their hands slapped by their supervisors. And so it's really critical to support and nurture and praise local problem solving and use of data at our facilities. Next slide, please. So as we move to close out this REDQI discussion series, I first want to thank you for joining us. And I also want to pause and reflect for a few moments on some of the lessons we've learned through implementation over the past decade on how to improve immunization service delivery to reach the hardest to reach children. We've learned that it's critical to build the capacity of health workers to partner with communities. This requires an investment on part of the health system and on the part of individual health workers to establish systems and processes that engage and encourage ownership from the community in the health system. The community has invaluable resources and knowledge, and you've all written that in the chat box. You've really acknowledged that. So we say use them, engage the community leaders in planning targeted outreach and mobile services. They can be really critical in helping to reach underserved populations, to help us find and track and target people that are nomadic and moving from place to place, or in urban areas, helping us find children that we may have missed. We also want to make sure that we're focusing on building capacity to use data and use data from all available sources. We want to encourage local use of data. What do you have at your health facility? Can you do head counts? Do you have community maps? Do you have checklists that have data? Use these data sources to help strengthen programming and targeting and also tracking in your facilities. We also really encourage and advocate for the use of quality improvement tools to improve program implementation. Support the development or strengthening, if you already have quality improvement teams in your country at the health facility level, to really strengthen that linkage with communities, and at the district level to engage with other non-health stakeholders. So we've talked about this last session and also today as well. Those are critical players when we think about being able to finance our microplans and being able to hold the health system accountable. We want to make sure that we're working collectively towards a common goal. And that goal really for all of us is to expand the reach of our programs to reach all children with life-saving vaccination. We also see this time and again in our work that there isn't enough money or investment in supportive supervision, particularly as a tool to coach and mentor staff. We hope that this can change and that there is truly an investment in supportive supervision as a means to provide on-job training and build the capacity of staff. Sorry, next slide. Lastly, it's really critical that managerial staff have the skills, tools, and resources, as well as institutional support they need to support and monitor system improvements. These really are skills that need to be built, and they need to be supported and reinforced over time. And so we really advocate for countries and programs to be taking a look at the skills that their managerial staff have and to think about how we can strengthen these skills. So next slide, please. So we hope that you've enjoyed this series. We want you to stay engaged with us. We have some forthcoming resources. We have a REDQI lessons learned report that really is a long synthesis of all of the learnings that we've had from both Ethiopia and Uganda in one lengthy report. So if you're interested in specific components of our work, this is going to be a great resource for you. We've also developed a how-to guidance document for immunization managers if you want to introduce the REDQI approach into your country. It's a step-by-step guide that will help direct that process. This will be available, these resources, in the next month or so, so July 2021. And these will be shared on the Boost REDQI learning group. So if you haven't joined, please do join that learning group. And we want to continue to hear from you. And of course, engage with you if you need support in rolling out these processes. We're also going to be having or hosting an e-learning course on the Boost platform that will be targeted towards staff that want to implement REDQI in their countries. It'll be likely a 4-part series and available again in July 2021. Also at the bottom, there are just some additional briefs from our work in Ethiopia, talking about expanding reach for hardest to reach populations, building and fostering facility community partnerships, improving capacity for immunization managers, and also improving use of data to achieve more equitable service delivery. So there are many resources that are available for you through our site, and we hope that you continue to engage with us over the next weeks and months, and we look forward to hearing from you. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Liz Colway from Boost, who will close us out. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Lisa, and to the rest of the JSI team for an excellent presentation today. So on your screen, you'll see some of the links that Lisa had referred to. So one, obviously, please join us in the Boost Learning Group dedicated to REDQI. As Lisa said, we'll continue the conversation from today and also share out more information about the upcoming course through this forum. We also have our new Boost Telegram channel, which we also use as a means to send out information to you all. It might be a little bit easier to access, so feel free to sign up for that channel as well. Next slide. And I'll just say, we really, your feedback is very important to not only improving this series, but future series that we host for the Boost community. So we do encourage you to, one, take the post-session survey from today, and then for those that have joined all 3 sessions in the series, we do encourage you to fill out the post-series survey. And I believe my colleague Yvonne is sharing all those links to the chat. Again, we'll send out a pretty detailed follow-up note as we've done with the previous 2 sessions, so that you'll get those links also straight to your inbox as well. I think that's all I had from our end, but again, really want to thank the entire JSI team for an excellent series. I also want to thank everyone who's joined us for all 3 sessions. We're definitely looking forward to the upcoming course in the summer, and we hope that you'll join us for that opportunity. So I'll turn it back over. I don't know, Lisa or others have anything else that they want to say to close out the session.
No, we just want to thank everyone, and we hope that you will use the platform to engage with us. We want to hear your comments, questions. We want you to use tools and provide feedback to us on them, or if you have experience with your own tools, please share those experiences. And we look forward to engaging with you further through Boost. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, everyone. Nice presentation.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.